Dear second prep students, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to a new lesson of English which is entitled Helping You, Help Me, Lesson 4. أعزائي طلاب الصف الثاني الإعدادي، أهلا بكم في درس جديد من دروس اللغة الإنجليزية بعنوان Helping You, Helping Me, Lesson 4 and let's start. Vocabulary. Boarding school ومعناها مدرسة داخلية. A school which provides accommodation and meals for the pupils during term time. المدرسة دي الولاد بيقيموا فيها طول الترم وبيروحوا في الأجازات بس، وبتكون المدرسة ملزمة بالتربية فيها والتعليم. He was placed in a boarding school. Placed يعني تم وضعه أو تم إلحاقه. Princess أميرة. An important female member of a royal family, especially a daughter or granddaughter of a king and queen. بتكلم هنا عن شخص مهم ولازم تكون female of a royal family يعني من العائلة الملكية. بتكون ابنة أو حفيدة لملك وملكة، يعني بنت الملك أو الملكة اسمها princess. She's cute as a princess and smart like her mother. يبقى أنا بقول هنا إن دي cute وذكية زي مامتها. أنا هنا قلت princess، هنا أنا أقصد بيها إن هي بنت ملكة أو ملك؟ لا، أنا أقصد she acts as a princess، بتتصرف behaves as princess. head teacher ومعناها مدير المدرسة. the teacher in charge of a school. in charge معناها مسؤول عن، يبقى الشخص المسؤول عن المدرسة اسمه head teacher. the head teacher often acts as a referee for his pupils. cruel ومعناها قاسي أو قاسية. someone who causes pain or suffering for others. pain معناها الألم and suffering معناها المعاناة. He was a cruel and nasty man. servant خادمة. a person in the service of another، شخص بيقوم بخدمة شخص آخر. The servant complained to her master about the long working hours. working hours هنا معناها ساعات العمل. behave معناها يتصرف. to act in a particular way or to act in a way that is considered correct. إن نتصرف بطريقة أنا شايفاها صحيحة، يعني نتصرف بطريقة صح دي اسمها behave. If you can't behave in the store, we will have to leave. يبقى أنا هنا بقول له لو أنت مش هتقدر تتصرف بطريقة كويسة إحنا هنضطر إن إحنا نمشي. يبقى هنا behave معناها إن بتصرف بطريقة صح. owner ومعناها مالك. a person who owns something، الشخص اللي بيملك شيء معين. who is the owner of this house؟ bigger معناها متسول. someone who lives by asking people for money or food، شخص بيكتسب معيشته أو بيعيش على طلب الناس أو بيطلب من الناس إما فلوس أو أكل. the beggar begged for the rich but they refused. يبقى الشحات هنا ده هنا person، the verb is beg معناها يتسول. from the rich بيتسول من الأغنياء بس هم رفضوا. generous معناها كريم. freely giving or sharing money and other valuable things. he was generous with both his time and his money. يعني هو كان كريم مش بس بفلوسه كمان بوقته. match the words with the definitions. servant boarding school, cruel, behave, bigger. not kind. not kind معناها مش طيب، يعني قاسي. واتفقنا كلمة قاسي معناها ايه؟ تمام. a school where the students live all the time. المدرسة اللي الطلاب بيعيشوا فيها طول الوقت. اتفقنا دي اسمها مدرسة ايه؟ داخلية. act or do something in a certain way. إني أتصرف أو أقوم بفعل شيء بطريقة معينة. a poor person who asks others for money, etc. الشخص الفقير اللي بيطلب من الناس فلوس، أكل. a person who works in a house, cooking, cleaning, etc. الشخص اللي بيشتغل في البيت بيقوم بالطبخ والتنظيف إلى آخره. something people wear to cover or protect their face. شيء الناس بيلبسوه على وشهم عشان يحميهم. So let's start to know the answers. Servant. Number 1 is a person who works in a house, cooking, cleaning, etc. Number 2, boarding school. A school where the students live all the time. Number 3, cruel, means not kind. Number 4, behave, to act or do something in a certain way. Number 5 and the last one, bigger, a person or a poor person who asks other for money, food, etc. Answer the questions. If you go to a boarding school, do you stay only in the morning or all day and all night? هنا بيقول له لو انت رحت boarding school، لو رحت مدرسة داخلية، will you stay only in the morning؟ يبقى عندك بس فترة صباحية الصبح بس، or all day and all night؟ I stay all day and all night. If someone is cruel to you, is he or she kind or terrible to you? So he asks about cruel. What does it mean? He or she is terrible to me. Does a beggar ask for directions or for money? A beggar asks for money. المتسول بيطلب ايه مني؟ بيطلب مني فلوس. If a child behaves well, is he or she good or bad? اتفقنا ان behave معناها to act in a good way. So he or she is good. Does a servant work in a shop or in someone's home? A servant works in someone's home. واتفقنا ان servant معناها الخادمة. Reading A Little Princess. احنا هنا عندنا story اسمها A Little Princess. Who is the writer of the story? مين كاتب الستوري دي؟ Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is the writer of the story. Let's start reading the story or a part of it. Everyone at Sarah Crew's boarding school calls her a little princess because her father is very rich. After Sarah's father dies, the head teacher, Miss Mansion, starts being cruel to Sarah because she has no money. She makes Sarah work as a servant. Sarah has to work very hard and does not get much food. However, Sarah decides to behave like a real princess. So she is always kind and polite to everyone. Sarah is in a boarding school. Do you remember what's the meaning of boarding school? A school where the students live all the time. Her father was very rich. But after he dies, the head teacher, which is called the Miss Mansion, it starts being cruel. بدأت تبقى not kind. تبقى مش كويسة وتعامل سارة معاملة وحشة. Why? ليه هي بدأت تبقى cruel? Because Sarah has no money. طيب عملت سارة ازاي؟ أو عملت ايه مع سارة؟ Sarah starts to work as a servant. بدأت تشتغل في المدرسة كخادمة. She has to work long hours and she does not get much food. طيب how does Sarah behave؟ سارة اتصرفت ازاي؟ like a princess، كأنها أميرة. How does she behave؟ she was always kind، كانت دايما طيبة and polite، ومؤدبة مع كل الناس. Let's complete. One day, Sarah finds a coin in the street. She can't find the owner. في يوم من الأيام سارة لقت coin، يعني عملة معدنية، فلوس في الشارع. She can't find the owner. She goes to the baker's to buy some cakes. When she comes out, she sees a beggar and gives the girl most of her cakes. Sarah can see that this girl is cold and hungry. Sarah thinks that a real princess should always be kind and generous like this. When the baker sees this, she's surprised. The girl is very strange. She's very poor, but she's kind to beggars, she thinks. بيتكلم هنا عن موقف حصل مع سارة. She found some money in the street and she was very hungry. She went to the baker to buy some cakes. But when she was out of the baker's, she saw a beggar. The girl was very cold and hungry. Sarah gave the beggar، ادت الشحات ده أو المتسولة دي معظم الكيك اللي كان معاها. Because she decides to behave like a princess. So she was kind، كانت طيبة، and generous، يعني كمان كريمة. طب مين شاف الكلام ده؟ The baker. The baker saw that this girl is very strange. يعني هي فكرت إن الفعل البنت دي غريبة جدا. لأن هي كانت فقيرة. But she was kind، كانت طيبة and generous to the beggar. When does Sarah become a servant? She becomes a servant after her father dies. يبقى امتى هي تحولت from a student or a princess in the school into a servant؟ بعد ما باباها توفى. Why is Sarah kind and polite to everyone? Because she decides to behave like a princess, and the princess is kind, polite, and generous. Why is mismentioned cruel to Sarah؟ وقلنا هنا cruel معناها not kind. Because Sarah has no money. Why does the baker think that Sarah is strange? Because she's poor but is helping a beggar. يبقى هنا البيكر استغربت من فعل سارة لأن هي شافت إن سارة كانت فقيرة but she decides to help a beggar. بس هي قررت إنها تساعد المتسولة. Read what the baker said about Sarah crew and answer the questions. مطلوب مني هنا إني أقرأ تعليق أو كلام البيكر عن سارة كرو وبعدين أبدأ أجاوب على الأسئلة. I think that the girl who came into my baker's shop today was a servant because she didn't have very new clothes. The money that she had was enough to buy a few cakes. I often see a beggar in the street where I work. She usually asks for money. But when the young girl left my shop, she gave her most of her cakes. I was very surprised. I feel that the servant girl behaved like a princess. بدأت هنا البيكر تتكلم عن الموقف اللي حصل قدامها. بتتكلم إن هي she believed that Sarah Crew was a servant. How does she know? Because she didn't have very new clothes. ملابسها ما كانتش جديدة. And she has a little money. ما كانش معاها فلوس كتيرة. الفلوس اللي كانت معاها كانت على قد إنها تشتري كيكس قليلين قوي. The baker often see a beggar in the street. A baker often sees a beggar in the street. يعني كانت دايما بتشوف الشحاتة دي أو متسولة في الشارع. بس هي شافت young girl اللي هي سارة كرو بتدي الشحاتة دي أو متسولة معظم الكيكس اللي كانت معاها. She believes that this girl behaved like a princess. وقلنا يعني إيه princess؟ يعني أميرة. Why does the baker think Sarah is a servant? She didn't have very new clothes. How do we know Sarah did not have a lot of money with her? Because she only had enough money to buy a few cakes. يعني احنا ازاي عرفنا ان ما كانش معاها فلوس كتيرة؟ لان هي اشترت كيكس قليلة قوي. Where does the baker often see the beggar? In the street where she works. ناخد بالنا هنا ان where تسأل عن المكان. جبنا بعدها helping verb does. So it's in the present simple form. فقلنا هنا in the street where she and the verb ends with s. She works. What did the baker feel when the girl gave the cakes to the beggar? What does she feel? She was very surprised. كانت متفاجئة جدا. Now we have come to the end of this lesson. Goodbye everybody and we will soon meet again to start a new lesson. وبكده أعزائي الطلاب نكون وصلنا لنهاية هذا الدرس وإلى لقاء قريب مع درس جديد.